Starfield is a fun game for me, in my opinion, but I would like for there to be more games, more Starfield games. I hope Bethesda really expands the brand. And speaking of that, ZeniMax. So the guys who made the Elder Scrolls Online, from what I've seen or from what I've heard from friends, is that there's a rumor going around, or maybe it's confirmed, I don't know, that they're working on a space game. And I think that would be awesome, especially if it was a Starfield space game. So then that gave me an idea. What if I gave a pitch for a Starfield space game? Now, before we get into it though, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. I'm trying to hit 200 subscribers by the end of the year. That would be awesome if you could do that. But yeah, let's continue. So, first off, I want to talk about character creation and faction choosing. So, in the beginning of the game, of course, you get your character creator, but also you get to choose your faction. So what will this mean? Now, your choices on whatever faction you choose matter a lot. It will lock you away from certain pieces of content. So you better choose wisely. So my time period that I want this MMO set in, about around the Colony War. I think it's the most interesting time in Starfield. So yeah, I think I want that. So you'll have a great many factions to choose from, or you don't have to choose a faction at all. You can be a neutral. So we have the United Colonies, or UC, Freestar Collective, or FC, Rienju Industries. I don't know how to say their name correctly, so I'll say R Industries. The Crimson Fleet, or the early beginnings of a Crimson Fleet, or a pirate faction of some kind like the Spacers or the Ecliptic Mercs, or something like that, or maybe even earlier faction, maybe a new pirate faction, but a pirate faction. House Varun, of course, and I think that's about it. So what will happen if you join a certain faction is that you'll get locked away from other factions. Of course, you can't join like the FC if you are a UC, faction person. Now, if you join the FC, you get to be in the FC military and join the Trackers Guild, because I would assume that the FC wouldn't like it if a bunch of UC guys came in and started being trackers. So if you are UC or House Varun, you cannot join the Trackers Guild, because I think that makes sense. And with the UC, same thing. If you are UC, you can join Constellation, but you cannot join the FC military, obviously, or the Trackers Guild. You see what I'm trying to say? If you're House Varun, you cannot join any faction. Or any, well, maybe I'll let you join the Trackers Guild. How about that? If you're House Varun, you can only join the Trackers Guild. You can't join Constellation. Or maybe you can, I don't know. I haven't decided yet. If you are the R Industries, it's pretty much easy mode. R Industries will be playing both sides in the game. So they'll be supplying the UC and FC with weapons and different tech. Like a cool little playing both sides type thing. You know what I mean? So you'll be able to go to any planet, any of their planets, without being worried about getting like put in jail or something. Oh, I'll talk about how that works later. But so you go in and you can go to any planet, and yeah, you can join Constellation and the Trackers Guild if you want. Now with the Crimson Fleet, we'll just say Crimson Fleet for right now, as the basic pirate faction. You cannot, that's hard mode, you cannot join any faction, period, bar none. you're just going to be a pirate. And so I think that's really cool because pirates are awesome, space pirates especially. And yeah. And of course, if you're neutral, that means you don't, I guess you can choose to join the FC or UC later, or any of the factions later. Except House Varun. You have to choose House Varun specifically. Now, I know what some people are going to say. What about Starborn? Will Starborn be a choice? No. You can rarely get the ability to be a Starborn. Now, let me explain. So, there was this old MMO that's actually been delisted, but it's been kind of reincarnated by fans. I'll leave a link to it below, for Star Wars, called Star Wars Galaxies. And it was a really neat little MMO. But more importantly, you could not choose to become a Jedi. It was a rare thing that would happen. Like, you would just do your normal thing, create your character, and then you may or may not spawn as a Jedi and get Jedi powers. So what I would do is I would do the same thing, to where when you spawn, you'll have in your inventory a piece of the Unity. Now, you cannot rebuild the Unity. Maybe they'll do that for a DLC, but you cannot rebuild the Unity because you don't know where the pieces are. Your technology just isn't as good. So when you do, though, you can go and find powers, and that's it, right? You go find powers, and you'll have a bunch of Starborn powers, and maybe you can even find a Starborn, or you spawn, maybe, okay, sorry, or you can spawn in with Starborn stuff. How about that? Yeah, that sounds neat. You spawn in with Starborn stuff like you do after you beat New Game Plus in Starfield. I think that's better. You spawn in with a ship, armor, and maybe even a special weapon. But not with powers. You have to find the powers yourself. Yeah, I think that's a lot more interesting. And it doesn't matter what faction you choose, you can rarely be a Starborn. But yeah. So next, how will planets and space work? I think they'll just have to work like they do in Starfield, whether you like it or not. I think it's just gonna work like that, because again, it has to run on consoles as well. But I guess you can use some more video, I guess have a little video playing while the loading screen's going on. I think that would make it a lot more tolerable for a lot of people. But just make it work like it does in Starfield. Now, if you choose a certain faction, you don't get locked away from planets, but you're at risk of getting caught. You're at risk of going to jail and paying a fine if you get caught in enemy territory. Like, for example, if you're a UC guy, you decide to join the UC faction. If you go to the FC, an FC planet or solar system, then you have a chance of getting caught and thrown into jail or getting killed. So it's a rare chance. Of course, you have to take the necessary precautions. You have to kind of hide your identity a little bit. Maybe we can have a little system like that. But yeah, you gotta run the risk of going to those planets because you may get caught. Now, another thing, hopefully more space stuff, because I didn't say this in my problems with Starfield video, which you should go check out. I think there should be more space stuff. More stuff to do in space, like building a space station. I think you should be able to build a space station. That would be so cool. Speaking of that, I think that when you build, you can also build a player base on any planet. And when you do, you can make it more like a hustling, bustling society. Like, people can live in your place. You build certain buildings that you need, kind of like a little sim. And you can also give money to the UC or FC, and you can give them fuel and stuff, and you can play both sides, or you can just serve one or the other. And maybe we can even have a system where there is a little bar not a bar like an alcohol, but bar like a bar you can see like the UC is ahead of the FC, and like you could show like there'll be blue and gray, and the UC would be blue and the FC would be gray, and like you give money, then the little bar goes up a little bit, or whenever someone completes a faction quest in your server, maybe the bar will go up a bit in that server. I don't know. That sounds like a cool idea for me, but yeah, it doesn't need to be necessary, but I think that would be cool. So another thing, how would player interaction work? Well, I think it will work like any normal MMO, where you can like, of course, friend players and maybe even have a microphone talk with them, you know, all that. They can go on your ship, they can go in your base if you want them to. But also, an ability a lot of people have been wanting is the ability to buy player ships. Not with real money, but I guess you can add microtransactions to buy credits, but with credits. So what you do is, maybe we can do a server specific like buying board, or just a like you can do a server specific one, or like a open like the whole world one where you can buy ships from around the world, whatever, and you spend credits, but you can look at the ships, like you can go inside the ships before you buy them to see if you like it. I think that would be very neat. You can put it on this little marketplace, and I would enjoy that. That would be very fun. So people more creative than me can make ships, and I can buy them with credits. But yeah, I think this would be a fun RPG MMO. Like, I'm not a fan of MMOs, to be completely honest, but I think this would be a really neat one. But what do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments. What would you change, add, you know, take away, whatever. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Goodbye.